We get asked all the time by our viewers if you can coat your existing epoxy countertops. Well, the answer is yes, and we're going to show you that now. I'm Kyle with Leggari Products, and here are a few scenarios on why you might be recoating your existing epoxy countertops. Scenario number one, maybe your cat jumped up into the wet epoxy, which has actually happened. Scenario number two, maybe you tried to surprise your spouse with some new countertops and they came home and did not love the colors. Or scenario number three, you coated your countertops a few years ago and are doing another remodel, and the old colors just don't match the new color scheme.
We're gonna jump right into showing you how to prep to coat over existing countertops. So some of the tools you guys are gonna need are a sander. We like to use 100 grit, maybe 120 grit, because again, we're recoating over it, so it doesn't really matter. We wanna scuff it up quickly. If we have any imperfections, we gotta fill divots, chunks in the faces. We're gonna use Bondo for that, and a putty knife. So very, very simple process. We've already sanded these faces. A few things I want to talk about. The most important part of recoating is making sure your faces are good. The resin doesn't go on and stick on those faces, so we want to make sure we don't have any imperfections on those faces, and we fill those and sand them flush. The next thing is, typically we like to reprime after we prepped it, because we want a fresh canvas to start with. Maybe you're changing your colors up. Maybe even if you're doing the same color, maybe you have a white vein that's coming over black area and it doesn't coat as well. So again, if we prime it, we're not going to have those issues. Again, fresh canvas, we can do any design. We don't have to worry about putting the colors in the exact same spot. So unless you're doing, you know, the exact same colors, exact same look, you could probably get away without priming, but it's always good to just reprime. It's quick, it's simple, and then you have a fresh canvas. The next thing is making sure you scuff everything up, and then after you scuff it all up, clean it very well, vacuum it, do a denatured alcohol wipe with a rag, and try to use non-shedding rags that don't leave a bunch of lint on the epoxy. So right here on this corner, we have a divot right here. Might not be able to pick it up right now, but I'm gonna scuff this up. We always wanna scuff up spots we're gonna Bondo, because Bondo is gonna bond better to sanded epoxy versus non-sanded epoxy. So I'm gonna kind of scuff this up a little bit, and then we're gonna fill this corner, this little notch that's in this corner, because again, we wanna get this perfectly smooth, everything dialed in before we recoat. So I probably could feather that out to where you wouldn't notice it, but I'm just gonna fill it. That way you guys can see how simple it is to fill imperfections with Bondo, and it dries quick. Only downfall of Bondo is it has a nasty smell to it. Okay, I'm gonna scoop some of this out. We don't need much. And what I do mixing it is I'll get a pile out there. I'll just put a little bead of the hardener over it, and then we're gonna mix that in. Just mix it until there's a consistent color. You always want to overfill it. That way we can sand it flush and kind of mold it. So again, I'll just overfill it. That's fine. Make sure I'm a little higher than I need to be. That way I can sand it nice and flush. Again, go around, fill any imperfections that you need to. Maybe have some holes or some divots or something on the top. You can fill those as well. Next step, guys, once you have every imperfection filled, again, that's the most important part, is making sure these faces look good. If you have some big imperfections on the top, maybe you don't have any imperfections, maybe you just need to scuff it up. We just wanted to show you some of the options, some of the things you might run into. So Kyle's gonna jump in here. We've already sanded the face. As you can see, it's kind of like got that dull look. So he's gonna jump in, sand the top, round these corners. And when you're sanding your corners, again, you wanna be really light. You don't want to sand like a flat spot. We don't want to make them really rounded unless that's the look you're going for. So he'll be real quick and light on the edges. You could even sand those corners by hand. We just need to scuff them up. But he'll jump in here. Palm sander, we're doing a battery powered palm sander. They're freaking awesome. And then we'll have it hooked up to a vacuum to minimize the dust.
Real quick guys, we just wanted to show you the difference between sanded epoxy and non-sanded epoxy. And this is what you're looking for when you're prepping to re-pour. And when we're sanding our Bondo on the edge, we like to use the palm sander and hit our face and hit the top, get those nice and flush, and then we'll grab a piece of sandpaper and hand sand the top corner and round that over and get that flush as well. And it's that easy guys, and you just want to make sure you rub your hand over your edge when you're done, make sure there's not any high ridges or any high spots, and you're good to go. All right guys, we're ready to clean these countertops, get them all ready for primer. So we're gonna vacuum the entire surface with a shop vac and then wipe down the surface with denatured alcohol, get all that dust off. And when we're done, we don't want to see any of this white stuff. And that's how you prep epoxy for a re-pour. So the next step in the process is we are going to be putting on our weather stripping for our dam, because we are using our stone kit process. So we do need to dam up the sides. When you guys do your dam at home, you'll probably be using some yellow painter's tape. We just like to use the weather stripping because we coat these counters over and over and they start to taper off, and the epoxy will build up on that tape and we have it tend to flow over. We don't have that problem with the weather stripping. This is just MD brand foam weather seal, 3/16" tall, 3/8 wide, and we get this at Home Depot. So when we're putting our weather stripping on, we want to get it tight all the way up against your wall, and then we're just going to take it all the way to the edge, push it down really well, and we like to leave a little tail just so it's that much easier when you pull it off. You have something to grab, you don't got to dig in there. So once you guys get the weather stripping down, you want to either take like a roller and roll it down real good, or just use your hands and just make sure we have a really good seal all the way down.
All right, guys, if you want to see the full process of how we did this exact kit, comment below, let us know full process or full video, and we'll launch this thing soon so you can see exactly how we got this look.